Welcome to another look at a new title, and guess what? Yes, it's another FPS game. It goes by the name of Ironsight. It's a free-to-play game that's recently got into open beta, but unlike some other titles, it's not on Steam or another big platform, so if you are interested, there's a link in the description below to download. As for the style of FPS game, think Black Ops era Call of Duty, that sort of thing. It has the same slickness to the gameplay, and has been my daily driver game for a short while now. There are loadouts, as you would imagine in a COD-style game. Those define weapon attachment, grenades, drones, and passive skills. The drones are abilities that require charging before activating and have long cooldowns. Think of things like UAV spotting, airstrikes, and so on. Passive skills are ways to tune your loadout to the rest of your kit. If you're about movement and closing the gap to enemy players, perhaps you want to boost your ADS walk speed. Or perhaps you're using a gun with a bit of a kick and you want to control the recoil better. There are different options to suit the kind of playstyle that you're after. I've been playing this game for a short while now, and I'd say it's very much in development. We seem to have patches on an almost weekly basis, so you do see things change, things get tweaks, alongside other content additions. The other side of that, of course, is that things are in some sort of state of flux, and there are some rough edges to contend with. The UI has some inconsistencies and odd choices. I'd say there are some questions about the spread of items and some of the loot boxes that exist in the game as well. And also in terms of things like gender split for player customization, there's no real parity in place. We have seen other player models added in the most recent patch a couple of days ago, so I'm hopeful things will even out somewhat in that regard. The developer of the game is South Korean and goes by the name of Whipple Games, or should that be with a double P, so maybe this is Whipple Games? I'm not sure, I'm going to go with Whipple, but answers in the comment section below if you know please. The publisher, and from what I can gather out the people running the community team, forums, Discord and so on, are from Ironsight, who are a German company. This may elicit a response from some people. I've seen references to other players' not wholly positive experiences in other titles that they've been involved with, not least on their own forums. To their credit though, a member of their team, Charlie, who is designated as being in production, explains in a forum post how the company has changed since it merged with Gamingo in 2016. Their vision for keeping Ironsight free to play, and to quote Charlie's post directly, avoiding any kind of interaction between monetization and the core gameplay. Obviously it's more about actions than words. Although I'm not seeing pay to win or other issues, I'm trying to keep an eye on how the game is progressing in that regard. I'll also link the thread on their forums and Charlie's specific response post in the description below if you want to read it all for yourself. As for the game modes, there are some old classics mixed in with some new modes that, if I'm honest, I actually prefer. I know people love Team Deathmatch and Search and Destroy, but I think I had my fill of those a few years back. However, those stalwarts are present should you be into it. The other two PvP modes are Resource Takeover, where you get points for killing NPC characters while also doing battle with the enemy team, is a novel mode. But my most played mode by far is Secure Point. It uses the same maps as the other modes, but each round there is a point selected on the map and you have to go and take control of it, swing-o-meter style, by standing in the middle of that circle. Once the timer runs down, the people who have control of the point win that round, and it's simply the first team to win 3. It's basically like a TDM mode with a bit more objective mixed in. There's a focus and gravity to that area of the map that you need to control, so it adds a bit more structure and helps alleviate that, oh right, yeah, he spawned behind me, kind of nonsense that always seems to permeate pure TDM modes. Performance of the game is good. I'm running basically max settings and seeing over 100 FPS in this proprietary engine from Whipple Games. I'm sure you folks with newer systems will happily keep your gaming monitors in their sweet spots. There are some oddities though. The main one that jumped up for me is mouse acceleration. Now, I don't personally feel an issue, but I did watch his Shroud the streamer try the game and he instantly had a problem with it. I have tried to provoke the acceleration, but I honestly don't feel it, so it could be something that is system specific. I wouldn't say that I'm particularly sensitive to it either though. I'd certainly rate his experience as a Counter-Strike pro to be more fine-tuned and sensitive to picking up any sort of inconsistencies. Either way, FPS gamers in 2018 would expect a raw mouse input option in the game settings. There isn't one currently, so I would stress to the developers that it is needed. I would also ask people who tried the game to post below in a comment if you do or don't experience any mouse acceleration, or basically give any feedback on how the aiming feels. I'm genuinely interested to know how you think it is. The weapon unlocks in the game can be bought in a couple of ways, either in a rental mode where it's real life time, not in-game actual playtime, for a small amount of soft currency, or a larger cost you can permanently unlock a weapon in a repairable version which doesn't time expire. It's slightly odd naming to initially understand, but the repairable option basically means you need to spend more soft currency to repair it as you use it. It's not a high cost and basically acts as a small money sink, and to be honest, it's really not a big deal. Other weapon attachments, like scopes and barrels, can be unlocked through using and leveling the weapons, though most of mine seem to have come from loot boxes earned from general account leveling, daily rewards, and from wasting my in-game earned credits on yet more loot boxes. It's not all positive though. It's a game in active development, which has recently gone into open beta, so there are bound to be some issues. Something I've talked about in recent videos when looking in general at game currencies is confusing in its design. First of all, there are multiple levels of currency, which for me puts my guard up, as that can be used as a way to obfuscate the actual value of items. Their soft currency is GP, and can be earned through playing matches, completing missions, and so on. This is the currency you can unlock weapons and other attachments with, so there's thankfully no fear of pay to win in Ironsight. There's a harder currency called chips that can be gained from login rewards or from opening duplicate items in loot boxes or from small numbers in daily missions. Finally, we have the currency you buy directly. It's called AP, or area points, after the publisher's name. The actual process of buying the currency itself is in fact confusing, sort of multi-tiered, and requires the game to pass you off to their website. The prices of some of their items can also seem quite high when they're bought through this avenue. For example, some of the weapons can be bought with a skin. Some of those kind of mid-level skins cost maybe 250 chips to purchase. You could save up login rewards and daily missions, but to accrue 250 would take a while. If you opted to pay by PayPal and spend £25 on area points, convert those over to chips, then that weapon skin works out to be something in the region of around £14. This isn't even one of the cooler looking skins either. From what I can gather, those are only available in loot boxes. Those loot boxes are a source of some grumbling from me though. If those skins were available for direct pricing in addition to the loot boxes, that would improve the situation. But to be honest, I'd like to see all the RNG taken away from skins and items in games. Loot boxes seem like a concept that's had its day. People aren't happy with how they seem to in some way replicate gambling, and titles such as Fortnite's Battle Royale don't have them at all. People are willing to spend $20 on a cool looking skin. We've seen that in Fortnite. So supplementing that direct revenue with a season pass with other unlockable content for a lower price would seem to be a better way to generate extra cash than loot boxes would have earned. I also mentioned the cost of area points also varies depending on how you want to pay and how much you want to buy at one time too. Personally, I'd calculate the final cost of every purchase before you decide to put your money in. Another thing, which honestly just falls under the open beta banner, but the general game and matchmaking server stability would seem not quite ready for prime time. There are often Discord messages about the team being aware of such problems with matchmaking. I've also experienced some mid-game disconnections. In terms of narrative and world building, the game feels a little thin as well, especially if you're coming from titles such as Dirty Bomb or Overwatch. There is a backstory on the site, and I'm sensing that there's more to come, but the whole thing isn't terribly engaging. Perhaps more worrying is some of the concept and in-game 2D art seems to suggest the game might head towards the inappropriately dressed ladies approach, while all the guys tend to look more purposeful and military in visual design. That sort of thing honestly should stay in the 1990s, and isn't right for a direction of a 2018 title. Games should be about more than that these days. If you have a world that the characters inhabit, they establish how they should look and apply those rules equally. Another shout out to Dirty Bomb that deals with this sort of thing especially well. The feeling of playing is being part of what is quite a small community, and in truth it's only been in open beta since February. But there are already some community esports things happening, as you might imagine. There are obviously some rough edges with servers, like I've already mentioned, but I'm hoping the devs eventually make the move to Steam to get the sort of player numbers that Ironsight honestly deserves. The game is easy to get into and enjoyable to pick up, play a few rounds to get your daily dose of FPS fun. I can imagine it carving out a niche amongst the other free-to-play shooters on Steam. It has a immediacy and fluidity to the way it plays that isn't present in many free-to-play titles, and its comparisons with Call of Duty don't in any way do it a disservice. It's been my daily game for a short while now, and with the additions I've seen, including some fixed-time events and other content, it keeps me logging in. It's not a studio or a publisher that I've heard of before, but this is the quality of what they made whilst the game enters open beta. I see a core of enjoyable gameplay. I'm interested to see how things progress as the game makes strides into welcoming a larger player base. I'm interested, what do you think of Ironsight? Have you tried it? Leave a comment below right now, let me know your thoughts. As I said, it's free to play but not on Steam, so the link to their site is in the description below. If you enjoyed this video, please tap the old sub button, as it really helps me keep making these videos on games just like this one. Thank you so much for watching, and I'll see you next time. Take care.